Let's talk to Ben Clapworthy, though, transport correspondent at The Times. We've got a story here in front of us that says convictions for drivers using their phones have rocketed 90% last year since they brought in this clampdown on making sure people don't use their phones while they're actually physically driving the car. Ben, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike.
Thank you very much for joining us. I mean, I suppose we shouldn't be that surprised that, you know, the government decides that there's going to be a clampdown, the police decide there's going to be a clampdown, and they just catch an awful lot of people. I was surprised that many of these were found guilty at court for the offence. So presumably a lot of these cases are people being actually taken through the court system.
These are people who actually, in most circumstances, decide that they are going to try and fight it at court. Now, you do tend to get that when the law changes because people think it's a good option that they may be able to get away with it. They may be able to claim they're innocent because the law has changed and therefore the magistrates aren't fully up with it. That doesn't work largely. These are the number of convictions, I think, versus the number that went to court. There was a tiny number that did effectively get off with it. Last year, 13,332 people were found guilty at court. That was up from 6,990 in 2022. So a significant increase. But the big thing is that change in the law. It came into force in 2022 and basically means that even playing on your phone, fiddling around, scrolling through pictures, fiddling with playlists or even games. People were seen playing games on their phone while driving. That was all banned, which makes complete sense, particularly given we know that the number of accidents involving phones has risen a quarter since 2011. So it is a major problem that people are basically thinking, I can get away with this, I'll play on my phone.
And how are many of these people being caught? Are they being caught by sort of like speed cameras? Have they kind of got a double use now?
So some constabularies have put new cameras on the side of major roads, often in sort of what you call a pop-up operation, where they're able to see into cars. Also, many forces have hired or bought HGV trucks and have been driving along principally on motorway. It gives them a bird's eye view down into cars and seeing people playing on their devices there. Also, police road units have become more adept in being told that actually this is a really big issue and therefore to clamp down on it.
And it's a big deal, isn't it? Because you get 6 points on your licence, which for a lot of people might put them out of commission for driving. It certainly affects your insurance.
It would indeed. 6 points is not something you want to be telling your insurer you've got, particularly at a time of sky-high premiums that we're in at the moment. But also it is, and part of the reason that you see those figures that people that take it to court is that if you've got 3 points on your licence for a speeding offence, then you're getting 6 points. You might think, okay, I'm getting awfully close to that 12-point cut-off. For young drivers, anyone that's passed their test within the last 2 years, 6 points is an automatic disqualification. So if you were to pass your test within the last year and then you're on your phone, that's you with your licence. If that was the only offence that you were on the phone, then you're still going to be disqualified for at least a year. The issue is, though, it is really distracting being on your phone. People think that they can get away with it. They think it's not an issue. Then the car in front of them on a motorway slams their brakes on. They're fiddling around with a Spotify playlist. The reaction time isn't there, and that's a major cause of accidents.
Yeah, absolutely right. Let me just ask you about Euston Station before I let you go. I don't know if you know that last night there was a big problem there. Euston Station was saying that passengers should check before travelling, and apparently it was absolute chaos. It was very, very hot, as you know, yesterday. There was a signal problem, I think, at Watford. People weren't getting on trains. Trains weren't going anywhere. They didn't have any air conditioning. What was that all about?
Yes, it was a signal problem, as you say. Unfortunately, that West Coast main line has been really susceptible to delays in the last few months. There's been several major events that have caused Euston to overcrowd. And unfortunately, it's the way that station is set up. As soon as you get a sort of mass of people in, it looks very busy and overcrowded. And there's not much space out the front anymore as well.
No, because they're digging it all up, aren't they? I don't know what they're digging it up for. Wasn't it for HS2? Oh God.
HS2. So it's the whole area around there is really contained. There were also issues yesterday on the high speed line down to Ashford, the HS1 line that Eurostar uses. There were huge queues at St Pancras last night. They were funneling people that were trying to get the southeastern high speed trains through sort of a queuing system like you would get at airport. It was a bad day yesterday on the railways with signal failures. It wasn't actually, we're nowhere near really the level where heat is having a big impact. You need about another 8-9 degrees before you start hearing of sort of buckled rails. But it was a miserable day and a very hot evening when tempers fray.
Yes, absolutely right. Not the kind of night you want when you're trying to get home from a hard day's work in the slog of the heat wave. But Ben, good to see you. Thank you very much indeed. Ben Clapworthy, transport correspondent at The Times, on the convictions for drivers using phones, up 90% since they introduced the new rules.